Derusting the waterline of an 82 feet steel ship without sandblasting is possible. However, after the most exhausting weeks of my entire life, I would not recommend it to you. But on Flying Coney's stern, nobody took ever care of the rust, so it was absolutely necessary to check for hidden holes.
The big task for this year is to get the hull fixed from the outside. We hope this could be achieved by good pressure wash and a little bit of paint. When we hauled out the boat, we discovered a very severe corrosion damage. So now we are facing a labor-extensive, very expensive and extended time in the shipyard.
Hello, it's so good to see you again. I'm Barbara, and together with Daniel I restored a historic steel ship, Flying Coney. You've probably already noticed that the videos are not quite real-time. We talk a lot about the upcoming winter, and here in Europe it is almost summer again. We did so much during the time in the shipyard, and we want to take the time to tell the whole story and not just rush through. In reality, Flying Coney is already back in the water and happily floating. And we are currently in Austria. We switched our car for this nice camper. But more about that in an upcoming video. However, Austria is always a bit difficult for us because there is so much to do and we don't have any spare videos. So we are really sorry that there was no video last week, but it was just too stressful. Anyway, we eventually finished this video and it is all about the most challenging task so far: derusting the waterline of our 82 feet ship with DIY methods. But before we start into this video, I want to thank all our new supporters on Patreon and PayPal. Your support makes these videos and the whole refit project possible. Thank you so much. And now let's bring you up to date.
So far we ripped out all the interior from the saloon underneath the aft cabin and in the forecastle, and removed a lot of dusty old cork insulation together with some frames. After that, the lads from the yard repaired the very big electrolysis damage. And we called in an expert who discovered a very big hole. But we decided to continue this project anyway. And while the shipyard was repairing the hole, we continued with massive destruction and removing a tank from hell. Eventually we started derusting the waterline and preparing the hull for painting. So what's up next?
Winter is coming and there are only a few days left for painting. So we have to finish the derusting now. Otherwise we are stuck ashore the whole winter.
So this was probably the hardest part of the refit project. I mean, if you think about it, it seems pretty easy. Take off the rust and put on a new coating. In reality, however, it was a disaster.
On the port side, on the starboard side, it wasn't fun anymore, the restoration project. Now it's getting really, really painful. My back hurts.
We worked the whole day with heavy tools way high up on working platforms, and at the end of the day you take a look at what you've achieved and all you see is this huge boat and the big areas that are still left. And you really doubt that you will ever finish this immense task.
But why did we do all this derusting? Since Flying Coney is a bit rusty and we already discovered some holes, we decided to play safe and to derust all the spots where you already could see the rust shining through.
At this time, we really struggled. It got harder each and every day, and we wished we just could take a week off, take a break from all the work and come back refreshed and ready to finish this immense task. But that wasn't possible, because winter was coming, so we had to push through. And for us the only way to tackle this huge challenge was to just keep going. Don't think about it. Just get up in the morning, work until it gets dark and continue until it's done. No possibility to escape. We just had to power through.
but it's one of the last sunny and warm days. So we have to get on with painting the hull and derusting the hull. And well, we achieved quite a lot today. Derusted the hull. Now the last step for today is to put 2-component zinc primer on the bare steel, because tonight or tomorrow there will be rain, so we have to do it today.
During this time, decision making was really hard. We were in autopilot mode and thinking wasn't available anymore. It was just something that destroyed the routine and made it harder to continue. And every decision felt so important and difficult at this time. How good is good enough? Should we use any kind of rust converter? What should we have for dinner? We just couldn't see the pros and cons. It all seemed so meaningless. How to take any decision without carefully studying each aspect. We ended up postponing decisions as long as possible, or simply not taking any decision at all.
The worst part was the waterline, especially the stern. We found several millimeters of rust. And even though everyone keeps telling us that 1 centimeter of rust is just 1 millimeter of steel, we were quite worried that underneath all this rust there might be some hidden holes.
Luckily, we already decided the more important stuff beforehand. And with many decisions, we simply trusted the lads from the shipyard, because in the end they have way more experience than we have, and it was one thing less to worry about.
To treat the bare steel, we used the 2-component zinc primer. It is quite thick and also serves as kind of a filler. And most important, it should prevent the rust from coming back. When we are done with the zinc primer, the fun begins. Because then Jan from the yard can spray everything with 1-component primer and shiny new paint. And we can't wait to see Flying Coney finally with a new color and without all the rusty spots.
And then there was YouTube. As if the refit project wasn't stressful enough, we decided to document everything here on YouTube. You might have noticed that by now. Filming and making videos is great when you have time and you're happy and you're motivated. But setting up the camera, telling you what we are doing and why we are doing this and what we think about it, I can tell you it was no fun at this time. We just wanted to get Flying Coney back into the water, and YouTube was one more thing that needed to be done. We had to film, we had to edit, we had to publish.
As you can see, we are almost done with removing all the rust from the waterline and repainting it with a 2-component primer. However, this bit here is still missing, because we need to move the platform over here, and for that the rudder is in the way. However, there is a small problem. Since we use this area here as storage space, we cannot turn the steering wheel. But I think this is a perfect opportunity to test our emergency hydraulic pump and turn the rudder with the joystick. After some minutes trying to find out how this pump actually works, we finally found out what this box is for. First you have to put in the breaker, and then you can start the pump here.
What really helped us to get through this tough time was our humor. Whenever things started to get difficult, we made fun of them. I know everyone is different and has his own coping mechanisms. And that's fine, but our way to get through a crisis is humor. And I know not everyone here on YouTube gets it. The Austrian style of humor is very subtle, dark, dry, and sometimes quite self-ironic. But that's a part of us. And everyone watching our videos and taking everything we say serious has my biggest respect. It must be very annoying, and I can guarantee you that we're doing it on purpose. So for all of you who don't get the humor, I'm really sorry, but you'll have to cope with it or leave. We will not mark it like most would do, mainly because not even we are sure when we are serious.
For full disclosure, we got the Terco rotating plaster for free. But I guess you know that by now. But for us, it is very important to be transparent and honest on this channel. Even though, generally speaking, it is true that ships rust from the inside out, it is only true for underneath the waterline. Above, and especially at the waterline, there is a lot of rust, also from the outside. So we wanted to make absolutely sure that there is no hole underneath all that rust. And that was especially important at the stern because, well, you will see in a minute.
Hello, Liza, how do you do? I'm writing you a letter, I hope it reaches you. I know it's been a long time since you heard from me. I'm still kicking around here in Tennessee. I heard you got a new place, I heard you got a new job, I heard you got a haircut, and it looks real nice. Are you ever lonely? Do you ever think of me? I heard you got a new man, I hope it treats you right.
This spot here underneath her stern is incredibly difficult to reach. So it seems like we are the first ones who actually tried to derust the complete waterline. The other owners just painted over it, and so over time there is a layer of rust that has built up, and it's about 5 millimeters, so it's quite severe. But the steel underneath looks good and thick and healthy, so it's an incredible heavy task.
In the beginning, the derusting was actually fun. You take off a lot of rust, you know the boat will look better, and it is an important step to make the ship last forever.
And the Terco is quite effective for this task, but it's also incredibly heavy over time to do it, but it's eating through the layer of rust, and the surface is quite nice.
And right at the beginning, you see the progress you make. You pay much more attention to the steps you've already achieved. It is a challenge that you're willing to take, but after a week or so, everything starts to hurt. You have to work on the harder to reach spots as well, and you get a more realistic feeling how much work still needs to be done. The machines get heavier each and every day, and moving around on the high working platforms when every single muscle hurts and you're tired doesn't feel quite safe. It is just a very long, very exhausting, never-ending task. And at this moment, it feels like you will never ever get the boat back into the water. Eventually, we actually got this huge derusting task finished. Back then, we were too tired to celebrate it. We just wanted to get back into the water so we could finally take some days off and relax.
And afterwards we will have a nice, shiny, good waterline. And I hope it's a good preparation for sandblasting or hydrojet blasting in 1 or 2 years.
I want to take the time to answer one question. Why do we not sandblast flying coney? First of all, we were in a maintenance shipyard and not in a shipbuilding shipyard. And sandblasting is not what they are usually doing. Then, if we sandblast, we want to apply a 2-component coating. And it is more difficult to apply a 2-component coating than a 1-component coating. So it is not only about the sandblasting, it is also about the coating. And finally, we only want to sandblast once, and we are not done with the welding yet. So we did it. We derusted the waterline of our 82-feet ship. And what's even better, we didn't discover any new holes.
However, we were working weeks to get the boat ready for painting, and the days were getting shorter and shorter. So we had to make compromises in order to get Flying Coney back into the water. And that meant painting in less than ideal conditions and be not as precise with the prep work as we would like to be. But that's reality. And I think that is one of the things we had to learn the hard way. No matter how much time you spend researching, in the end you have to get the work done. And with such a big project like ours, a good improvisation is as close as you will ever get to perfect. Especially when you want to get finished in a reasonable amount of time with a reasonable amount of money.
All the welding jobs are done and we have a mostly rust-free hull. And that means we are ready for painting. The glass surveyor will visit us one more time to check the hull. Then Jan from the yard will spray the primer and the paint. And then we are ready to launch.
When the world turns ugly, we turn inside. Try to find a good thing we can stand behind. All my friends tell me she's the one that got away. But you never left me like a ghost you stay. There's nothing else worth thinking of when you find the one you love.
And then there was YouTube. You spent hours to finish a video. Hours you could have used to bring the boat one step closer to launch. And after publishing, it sometimes barely gets any views. And you read all those comments from people that never saw the ship live but think they know more about it than the shipyard or the class surveyor and tell you to scrap it or what you've done wrong. I cannot tell you how demotivating that was and how often we wondered if it's really worth to take the time and make these videos. But on the other hand, there are always some really encouraging comments. People telling us how amazing and inspiring it is what we are doing. So we reminded us that we are making the videos for you. For the great community that loves Flying Coney as much as we do. That really acknowledge the work and effort we put into this project to bring her back to life. For you who truly support us and Flying Coney.
An aeroplane shooting across the sky can surely take your body to a new place for a while.
Perfect.
But some things stay, no matter where you go. Do you still love me, Liza, babe? Please tell me yes or no.
And after all this hard work, we wanted to end this video with a really satisfying task. It wasn't absolutely necessary, but we wanted to do it anyway.
You might wonder, with all the troubles we went through, was it worth it? Are we still happy that we bought Flying Coney? And why did we even do this? I can tell you, back then, we often felt like giving up. However, now that the most difficult part is done and Flying Coney is ready for painting, we are really proud that we pushed through, that we took the challenge and managed to get it done, just by the two of us. To know that we can handle such an immense task gives us the confidence that we will finish the whole project. And every time I look at Flying Coney now, I'm proud. She's the perfect sailing ship and we are now an important part of her story. Because without us and all the time we put into her, she would never ever sail any ocean again. And we can't wait until we finally untie the lines to go sailing.
Isn't it shiny? Almost like new. And that's all we have time for today. And since you're still here, I guess that means you really enjoyed watching this video. So I strongly recommend you hit the subscribe button, so you don't miss the next video and YouTube knows that it's a good video and recommends it to more people. And we are happy because we put a lot of work into this video and it's great to know that you like what we are doing. So overall it is a win-win-win situation with just one click. And that's perfect. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.